Hi, my peeps, and welcome back to the channel where we find out what kind of dumb stuff the young earthers have to say about their world view today. And we're gonna go back to Eric Hovind. I just love him. So, my last few videos on Eric, before I took a break from Eric and went on to Answers in Genesis and Genesis Apologetics, was about the flood. Because, come on, we all like their excuses about how a mythical worldwide flood was possible 4,400 years ago, even though science literate people know there's no fucking way to have a global flood. But, make fun of it. And hey, throw in some education while you're at it, because, these people need all the goddamn help they can find, and they really don't have much education. So, I'll help you out. At any rate, I'll do my shilling because, come on, that's part of my job. And then, little Eric, you can take it away and spew all the nonsense that you want so I can tear it apart. And while you're thinking about it, if you're new, why don't you go ahead and hit that subscribe button? And if you've already subscribed to me, make sure you're still subscribed, because for some reason, YouTube loves to unsubscribe people. Also, if you're new here, I'd like to thank you very much for giving me a chance. And for my fans and subscribers, thank you so much for coming back. You are the lifeblood of this channel. And now, with that, let's get on with the video.
Well, evolution, I believe, and that's a well apropos title, is junk science. Right. Science is experimental science. It's something that we can have observable, repeatable experimentations to discern hypotheses and test them. When it comes to evolution, it's what we call historical science.
Well, I'm happy to consider it. I'm happy to consider just about anything because, unlike you people, I like to believe what the truth is. And unfortunately, the truth is not on your side on this issue. I've looked at both sides, and evolution is true. And you're going to have to do a whole lot better than Bible verses. But let's say, just for laughs, okay? Let's say that you disprove evolution. Not going to happen, but let's say you do. That doesn't do what you think it does. That does not prove creationism. You have to bring evidence to the table to prove creationism, not just disprove evolution. I can't believe that I have to tell two grown men that, but apparently I do, because neither of you know what science is, as will be abundantly clear in the next few clips. And yes, I will clear it up for you. I will tell you what science is and is not.
It can't be reproduced because origins, by their definition, can't be. Unless you were there, you could know what happened. So it's not science.
Kurt, no wonder you were easily swayed. I mean, you don't even know what the fuck evolution is. Evolution is not the study of the origins of life. That is the purview of abiogenesis, which is in the field of biochemistry. And yes, we have proven that it can happen. The Miller-Urey experiment was the first, but there have been other experiments since, and we know it can happen because it has happened. No, we did not go from sulfur and water vapor and whatnot to self-reproducing organisms. That's just ridiculous. Life didn't appear on Earth until about 3.5 billion years ago, give or take. For you to think that we can fit 1 billion plus years in a fucking experiment. Look, I found an article from NASA that has a link to an abstract from Science. Go nuts! You clearly need someone to hold your hand through this, and I'm not the one to do it. Number one, I am not your babysitter. Number two, I'm still trying to figure this shit out. So, yeah, have fun.
It is historical science, which is not what we normally consider science.
Jesus fucking Christ. I feel like I'm going back to first grade. I knew the definition of science in the first grade, people. You are how old? There is no excuse for you not knowing. Does that definition draw a distinction between quote unquote observational science and quote unquote historical science? I'll give you a hint. No. And you know why? Because there is no difference. Science is science. And before you give me this shit about you weren't there, you weren't either, and neither was your God. So shut the fuck up about it. The only way we will ever learn what happened is to learn what could have happened, and that is science. So you guys look like you need a third grade definition of the scientific method. So here it is, a very dumbed down version of the scientific method. Where in this definition does it say anything about a difference between historical science and experimental science? In particular, look at the last two steps. Test the prediction and iterate, meaning to run the experiment again. So, we can test a prediction of quote unquote historical science, otherwise it wouldn't be science. Now, I do have beef with this definition, and it's because it's a dumbed down definition. What do you expect? Anyway, you should retest your hypothesis, just to make sure it's not a fluke, because you do not want to be working with flawed data.
Now, evolution, it's not hard to define, it's just hard to believe.
Stated Clearly presents What was the Miller-Urey experiment? It was once believed that if you left food out to rot, living creatures like maggots and even rats would simply poof into existence. The idea was called spontaneous generation.
Or creation ex nihilo, which is exactly what the creationists, especially biblical literalists, believe. It's not good when you try to project your own thoughts onto others. It just makes you look silly.
A series of experiments starting in the 1600s disproved this idea, and in the 1800s, a new scientific law was proposed. Life only comes from life. It's true that rats, maggots, and even microbes are far too complex to simply poof into existence, but in 1859, English naturalist Charles Darwin put forth the theory of evolution. In it, he showed that under the right circumstances, relatively simple creatures can gradually give rise to more complex creatures. Given this information, serious thinkers began to wonder, Is it possible that simple life forms actually could come from non-living matter? Not by poofing into existence, but through a natural, gradual process similar to what we see in biological evolution. Darwin himself mentioned this idea when writing to a friend. But if, and oh what a big if, he wrote, we could conceive in some warm little pond, with all sorts of ammonia and phosphoric salts, light, heat, electricity, and so on present, that a protein compound was chemically formed, ready to undergo still more complex changes. In 1924, Russian biochemist Alexander Oparin published a book which he titled The Origin of Life. In it, he outlined his thoughts on a gradual progression from simple chemistry to living cells. He imagined the early ocean as a primordial soup, a rich collection of complex molecules produced by natural chemical reactions. In this soup, further reactions could take place, eventually producing living cells. At the time, Darwin's warm little pond and Oparin's primordial soup were really just speculation. They were founded on a good understanding of chemistry and biology, but they could not be considered legitimate scientific hypotheses because no one had found a way to test or observe them. Science, after all, is the study of observable facts and an ongoing conversation about how those facts can be best linked together. Chemical reactions like those proposed by Darwin and Oparin are not expected to leave an observable fossil record. Without either having fossils to examine or a time machine to travel back and observe what happened, how could scientists even begin to study the origin of life? In the 1950s, Stanley Miller, then a graduate student at the University of Chicago, came up with an idea. We could simulate early Earth conditions in the lab and then carefully watch what happens. If you can't study fish in the sea, set up an aquarium. Working with his professor, Harold Urey, Miller designed an apparatus to simulate the ancient water cycle. Together they put in water to model the ancient ocean. It was gently boiled to mimic evaporation. Along with water vapor, for gases of the atmosphere they chose methane, hydrogen, and ammonia. These are simple gases which scientists at the time thought were probably abundant on the ancient Earth. They added a condenser to cool the atmosphere, allowing water molecules to form drops and fall back into their ocean like rain. The ancient Earth would have had many sources of energy, sunlight, geothermal heat, and even thunderstorms, so they added sparks to the atmosphere to simulate lightning. The goal of the experiment was not to create life, but to simply test the first step in Oparin's model. Can simple chemistry naturally give rise to the complex molecules of life? After running the experiment for just 1 week, their ocean became brownish black. Careful analysis revealed that through a series of reactions, many complex molecules had been produced. Among these were amino acids, special molecules of life that we once thought could only be built inside the bodies of living creatures. This was a pivotal breakthrough in science, so significant in fact that it gave rise to an entirely new field of research now known as prebiotic chemistry. Scientists don't know for sure if the gases used by Miller really were the most common gases of the ancient Earth. Because of this, many experiments have since been done, showing that the molecules of life can form in a wide variety of environments with different starting chemicals and different sources of energy. Sugars, lipids, and amino acids have even been found on meteorites. This suggests that the molecules of life formed all throughout the ancient solar system and may be forming right now in other regions of our galaxy. Together, these discoveries tell us that Oparin's primordial soup and Darwin's warm little pond could have easily existed in one way or another on our ancient planet. So to sum things up, what was the Miller-Urey experiment? The Miller-Urey experiment was our first attempt at simulating ancient Earth conditions, in this case, the ancient Earth's water cycle, for the purpose of testing ideas about the origin of life. The Miller-Urey experiment is significant for two main reasons. First, though it was not a perfect simulation of the early Earth, it clearly demonstrated for the first time that biomolecules can form under ancient Earth-like conditions. Second, the experiment took what was once mere speculation, the idea that life may have emerged from chemistry, and transformed a portion of that speculation into legitimate, testable science. Simulation experiments cannot tell us exactly how life formed in the past, but if enough of them are done, they could eventually tell us if it's possible for life to emerge from chemistry. I'm John Perry, and that's the Miller-Urey experiment, stated clearly.
They want you to believe that nobody times nothing equals everything.
Okay, honestly, I really don't know whether I should laugh or cry at this statement because, first of all, dude, that's not evolution, okay? Get your definition straight. First of all, my guess is you heard that from no one. At least no one in the relevant field of organic chemistry or biochemistry. No, my guess is that you heard that from young authors like Kent and Eric Hovind. And if that is where you get your science information from, I really have to doubt the rest of this video. Come on, dude, do better. And I know you got the notion that we think we came from rocks from Kent and Eric Hovind. Look, dude, you believe that we came from rocks. What do you think dust is if you take away dead skin cells and dead animals? And what do you think creation ex nihilo means anyway? As for the idea that we think we came from nothing, I suppose you got it from the title of the book, A Universe from Nothing. Did you even read the book? Or did you just read the title? You know, you're not considered well read just because you read titles of books. You actually have to read the thing in order to be considered well read.
Wow.
That is the mantra of evolution. There was nobody there. There was nothing there, but somehow, after 4 billion years, we have everything.
Nobody, cosmologist, astrophysicist, whatnot, nobody but you people say there was nothing. Only you people say that. We don't even know whether nothing can exist. It was a vacuum. And again, that is not evolution. Okay, that is the Big Bang. Can we please get back to the alleged topic of this segment, which is supposed to be evolution? Oh, yeah, I forgot. The only thing you have on your side is the big Gish gallop. Look, dude, all of this stuff is in different areas of science. Okay? You're not going to find an expert in all of these areas. If you want to have a fair discussion, that's fine. That's not your goal. You just want to gish gallop. But if you really want an honest conversation, my suggestion is that you get experts in all of these different areas together and ask them.
That takes a lot more faith to believe than what we read in the Bible. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth.
If that's what the Big Bang Theory stated, I may be inclined to agree with you. May. However, that is not what the Big Bang Theory states, and I think you know that, and I think you're just misrepresenting it. We don't even know if nothing is possible. And I find this reasoning absolutely hilarious because, by your own reasoning, you have to come up with the answer to the question, who created God? Because that reasoning presents an infinite regression problem. So basically, your answer of God done did it is not an answer at all. It just pushes the answer back one more step, which is ridiculous. You still have to account for what came where. As you can probably tell, these people have no clue what the fuck they're talking about. They do the creationist Gish gallop. The Big Bang is not evolution. Abiogenesis is not evolution. Can we please stick to evolution? But the only thing they have in their corner is the great creationist Gish gallop. And this is one reason why I do not debate, period. It's because they like to Gish gallop. Another reason I'm just not good at it. Maybe next time we can actually stick to the topic of the theory of evolution. I highly doubt it, because sticking to one subject isn't a creationist strong point. But at any rate, we shall see. But yeah, I did predict they would Gish gallop. Also, my prediction that they would bring up things that have already been explained or are in the process of being explained did come true, because they brought up the nothing comes from nothing, which is absolutely false. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and also please comment down below. It does help the algorithm, and I love all of your comments, and I read all of your comments. Also, I have a channel on Odyssey now, link in the description. So if YouTube ever gets a bee in its ass about something and they cancel me, then you can find me over on Odyssey. And thank you very much for coming. Have a nice day and goodbye.